Good for him. All right, so it's Kings Mavericks. We know this for sure. This is for certain. It is happening. There's no mystery. There's, hey, if this happens, if that happens. I mean, honestly, game 82 for the longest time, people were looking at Kings and Suns, and the Suns completely disappointed the way they finished, and the Kings don't have to worry about them. When Dallas kept getting injury after injury after injury, people just assumed that Phoenix would pass them. The reason I didn't was because of Phoenix's schedule. I said, look, Phoenix, they started 8-1. They have not been a good basketball team for the majority of the season. This wasn't just like, well, Durant's been out or Beal's been hurt. They just hadn't been very good. And so I looked at their season totals, just the way they had been playing for a couple of months, and then their schedule. And I thought, I don't think they're going to ultimately in the end pass Dallas. Now, Dallas was so depleted with injuries, and the whole thing hinged to me on whether or not they would get Anthony Davis back. They have. But let's look at what Dallas has done. Let's just go since the All-Star break. So they made the big trade that kind of rocked everyone's world. And from Dallas's perspective, now, everyone in Dallas probably doesn't want to hear it because they all hate what Nico Harrison has done, and they love Luka, and I totally understand why. But and I was saying short-term, meaning this season and probably next season, that if you had Gafford, Lively, Anthony Davis, P.J. Washington, Kyrie Irving, Spencer Dinwiddie, Max Christie, Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, that's a good basketball team. And I think if they were all healthy from the All-Star break, they would not be in the 10th spot. They would be a team that would be in that top 6 potentially. And you could see based on defense, based on Kyrie's ability to take over games, like they would be a major problem. Now, Luka long-term, I think everybody's taking Luka. I think everybody would. Now, we'll have to wait and see how this all goes. Lakers, though, have vaulted all the way up to the 3 seed, and Dallas had to hang on to be the 10. But when they made the move, right after the All-Star break, they were 30-26. Since then, and they won their first game out of the break, they finished 9-17. Let's kind of dive into the 9 wins. Out of the break, they beat New Orleans. A couple games later, they beat Charlotte. Lost 5 in a row, beat San Antonio. Their best win from the All-Star break on was beating Detroit. Followed that with a win at Brooklyn. Then they won 2 in a row at Orlando and at Chicago by 1. Beat Atlanta by 2. And then just beat Toronto on Friday. They have lost 6 of their last 8. Part of it, they've been resting people. Part of it's been some injuries. But if you go to the game that they won against Toronto, which is probably going to be more of a representation of what we're going to see on Wednesday, this was the starting lineup they utilized that day. And it's going to be interesting if they use this starting lineup as well. 2 teams without a true point guard. They started Klay Thompson, Derek Lively, Najee Marshall, P.J. Washington, and Anthony Davis. Now, Dinwiddie was out of that game, but they also have Caleb Martin, Dwight Powell, Gafford, Exum, Jaden Hardy, Max Christie. It's a good team, guys. I mean, I don't want people to think, look, they only had 1 less win than the Kings. So, I think when you look at seeding, just eliminate that from your thought process. It's almost like 2 years ago when the Kings were the 3 seed and the Warriors were the 6. They were separated by 2 games. So not a big difference when you get to this point on that part of it. Dallas has 17 road wins, so under 500 on the road. Kings beat them all 3 times this season, but it's been a while since they've played them. In fact, I don't think they ever played them with Luka this year. I think he missed the first 2 times they played, and then the last time he certainly wasn't a Maverick, and that's the game Kyrie Irving got hurt, and he will not be available. It was an awful injury for him, and I hated to see that happen. So when you're looking at it, I think this game is going to be about Dallas's size and their ability to rebound, to protect the rim. And to me, for the Kings, it's going to be, I think they need to play with pace. I think they need to run Dallas a little bit. I think I know they like to shoot three-pointers, the Kings, though that's slowed down a bit. I think the 2-point game is going to be big. I think DeMar DeRozan's ability to be the king of the midi committee, and the same with Zach LaVine at times, though he can extend out and shoot threes. I think those two guys are going to be really critical, because if I look at that lineup right there, I'm guessing they would put someone like Najee Marshall and probably Klay Thompson on DeRozan and LaVine. That's just a guess. Now we might see some other tweaks by them, at least from that final starting lineup. AD and Sabonis, we know famously forever what Sabonis was undefeated against AD. Well, Sabonis hasn't beaten AD this year. The 4 times as a Laker, AD beat the Kings. AD and LeBron and others. So that streak is gone. AD had a triple-double in his last game that he played. So I think rebounding differential, the Kings' shooting percentage, and then to me, it's Sacramento and their turnovers. If they protect the basketball well enough and don't have those to me, their turnovers when they're bad come in clumps, right? Clumps. And it's 3 times in 4 possessions, and maybe a 2 or 3 point deficit is all of a sudden 12. And you're going, what just happened? How did this game get this, blown open like this? So as I look at this, I look at that same kind of situation, that limit the turnovers, play with pace, utilize that home crowd. I mean, again, that's why you got the 9. It's not this huge nod, one more win than Dallas, but you are the 9 seed. You do get to host. Knowing the sense of desperation, like Doug's already got his non-negotiables, effort, energy, and sometimes, look, it's not always there. But I mean, the cliche is the same for Dallas. There's no tomorrow. There's no other game to worry about. There's no resting. There's no preserving minutes. You're not even thinking about Friday. The odd part is, since the 7-8 game is Tuesday, is tomorrow, both Dallas and Sacramento will know where they have to go. So if the Warriors win, they move into the 7 seed. Memphis would be hosting the Dallas-Sacramento winner. Obviously, if it's vice versa, they would know that they have to go to Golden State, to San Francisco. So they're going to know what's on the line. And I expect whatever the best version of the Dallas Mavericks is, for them to have it on Wednesday, and the Kings better have the same. Like I said, Dallas has not played that well going in. They haven't had their group together very much. The Kings have had it more than Dallas, and I expect us to see DeRozan, Murray, Sabonis, LaVine, and Ellis as the starters, playing Valanciunas, playing Lyles, playing Carter, maybe LaRavia if he's available. And you got to go down swinging and see what you got. And if you lose, give it your best. If you win, hopefully you gave it your best and you advance. I mean, it really doesn't matter how. It doesn't have to be pretty. It could be the best game. Like last year's play-in, the Kings were awesome. The Kings were awesome against the Warriors. Not as great against the Pelicans, obviously, but we know this team is very capable of putting it together. I do like the way they've played for the most part for the last week and a half or so. So we will see. All right, how about the rest of the playoff matchups? There's some really intriguing matchups. Had the Warriors won yesterday, I think ESPN would have exploded because we would have had the Warriors and the Lakers, and they both can't win the championship. One of them would have been eliminated, but we didn't get that. So what else do we have? What's set? What can we look ahead to? We'll look at the other playoff matchups in the East and in the West when we come back on Sactown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you.